Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us today for Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from learning from other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Brittany King. Brittany is the owner and creator of Pain Painter Poetry and is here today to share a story of breaking cycles from generational dysfunction. She is the first generation to graduate high school and go off to college. She has learned to overcome setbacks, explore her pain, and find her own revelations. We are excited to hear what she has to say. Welcome, Brittany.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, girl. I appreciate you being here and hanging out with me for a little bit to share a little bit about your journey and a little bit of your story from your past experiences. You know, like I said, we learn from other people. I think the best way of learning is to hear what other people have gone through, hear how they were able to overcome it, and get inspired. So how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. So are you from DC, Washington, DC?
So I live in Washington, DC, but I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Nice. How long have you been in Washington?
Like about 6 years now, approaching. So a minute.
You're committed now.
I know, right? Well, my baby was born here, so she's first generation Washingtonian.
I love it. I love it. How old is she now?
She's 21 months, so she'll be 2 in July.
That's a baby.
Yes, a big baby.
Yeah. I love it. My little baby is now 18. It happens fast. My fiance and I just went prom shopping with him. He went out and bought a handsome little suit. He's looking all dapper.
That's exciting. My youngest sibling goes to prom this year, so
nice.
Very exciting.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, listen, I would love to kind of just hand the floor off to you for, a couple minutes and let you kind of give us an overview of, who you are, your upbringing, some of the stuff that you've gone through. And then we can kind of, flow into some more questions. Is that cool?
Yep, that's fine.
Awesome.
So again, hello everyone. I'm Brittany King, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I was pretty much brought up with a big family. My aunt raised a lot of my siblings and a lot of my cousins in the heart of Detroit, Michigan. The thing about me growing up, we grew up kind of poor, but we didn't realize it until we were older. That's when I discovered, hey, this is probably why kids were picking on us, because once I became an educator, I realized that the poor kids, quote unquote, are the ones that get bullied. So, but we always had each other. We made it through a lot of tough times. And I do believe wholeheartedly that my past shaped me to become the woman that I am. So if I say anything that is probably sad or emotional, it's not because I'm emotional, but I do realize the role it plays in my life. My mom has 9 kids, but at one point we lived in a house with 13 people, 1 bathroom. So we just knew that we had to have each other to survive. School was kind of my safe space. I don't know why, but I just always managed to go to school regardless of anything. There were a lot of teachers who believed in me, and that's probably why, I can't say probably, that's why I became an educator, because the people who believed in me were educators, and the impact that it had on me made me want to pay back those who paid it forward to me.
Yeah, 100%. What else?
So currently, I am still teaching, but I'm trying to branch off to entrepreneurship. I'm starting actually a swimwear line for with waist shapers. So for women, well, I was just discussing with Sabrina that I had a hernia, and I didn't know that I had a hernia for a full year. I was just distraught though because my shape didn't come back after the baby. So one day I got an idea like, hey, I should do this for women. But other than that, back to like my life, I ended up graduating from high school and going to Michigan State University where I received a degree in human development and family studies. And part of the programs at Michigan State, you could do a study away instead of a study abroad. That's how I ended up in Washington, D.C. Half a semester, well, a semester I completed in D.C. on the internship, and I ended up moving back down here. But yeah, so my life in a nutshell. I'm ready for the questions.
So I have a question regarding your schooling. When you got accepted to Michigan, was that a big deal in your family? Like, did you get a couple high fives, or what was the?
Well, I was always known as like the smart girl. So for most people, it was just like, oh, we knew she was going to do something great. For me, I didn't consider college until the 12th grade. Like I said, I'm first generation high school. And for me, college, I went to college. I don't know if it's good or bad because all my friends were going. So the school I chose is because that's where my friends were going. Going is because my friends were going. And counselors at the school, they made sure they laid it out for us. Like, hey, these promoters are coming, fill out these applications. And ultimately, that was the decision that I made based off of my surroundings. My friends, all of us went to Michigan State.
Yes.
That's the truth behind it.
That's awesome. So as far as being an educator, what's your genre? Where are you, who do you?
So starting off, I worked with all K through 12 age groups, but now I work with adult education. So I help students get their GED. But the school that I worked for, I've worked with it's an adult training program. So I've worked with HVAC, IT, MOS, whatever program we've offered, I pretty much work for. But my foundation there is in math. Math has always been my strong point, and I coach students on getting their GED now.
No kidding, you like math.
Yeah, math just likes me, obviously.
That's so cool. I always say I like math because it has to do with money.
Yes, that's the best reason to like it, right?
Yeah, you have to know your math, girl. If you want to make money, you got to know how to add and you got to know how to multiply.
Yes, and honestly, it's important for people in my community to know how to add because there are a lot of stores here that don't have prices listed and they'll just bring up whatever. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could be overcharged tremendously because a lot of people in the Black community that set up shops here, they take advantage of people who are not able to function executively.
Wow, that's a little trick they use.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding. Well, smart on their end, I guess. You got to stay educated.
Exactly. Don't ask, don't tell.
I hear you, definitely. So I want to ask you, throughout your journey from where you started to where you are now, what was your biggest challenge? What's the biggest struggle that you've gone through? And then what did you learn from that challenge?
So with my struggle, the thing that led to my struggle in 2016, I lost my brother. He was killed. And I didn't realize how it had affected me. Normally I'm known as like this strong person, but slowly but surely I started cutting everybody off and just not being present. And eventually when I decided I did want to kind of come back into the world, I started dealing with the wrong people. So my biggest challenge was overcoming just having these strongholds to people and trying to find happiness in people, and they were actually draining me. So I overcame it just learning to love myself. I went through a lot of damage in relationships as far as family, friends, and romance. And I was just accepting things that I shouldn't have accepted because I didn't know what love should look like or what love was. And if we all have the same idea that love hurts or whatever, I was allowing myself to be hurt when I should have walked away from situations. So that was my biggest challenge, just being able to walk away from relationships that I shouldn't have anything to do with.
I love that. What happened to your brother?
So he was killed. My brother was like a popular guy in the hood, the streets. But I guess, when you make it out from doing certain things and you elevate your life and you still hanging with the wrong crowd, some people don't like that. So somebody shot and killed him in 2016. Yeah.
Wow. Were you close to him?
Yes, that was my rock. That's why my life changed afterwards, because when you're so used to being able to call someone or see someone or go out of town with someone, and then overnight it's like not able to happen anymore, it's like, what do I do with my life now? And I know that life has to go on, but how do you go on when a intricate part of your life is missing? That's why it was really big challenge, and I didn't realize how it affected me. I became like a zombie in the world, and the only thing I did daily was go to work, but I was already programmed to do that. And it kind of affected my stay in Washington, D.C. a lot, because I didn't make any friends, because it happened the first year I moved down here. I was always going back home, and then he passed away. So I wasn't in a position to, try to get out and make friends or whatever. I just became shelled.
Wow. I'm so sorry. How old was he?
He was 33.
Oh, that's so young.
Yeah, very young.
So he was starting to kind of like pull himself out of that crowd and trying to do better, and then that happened.
Yes, and that happens to a lot of young Black men when you grow up in a certain environment and you make it past your environment. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how to love, and that love becomes anger and turn into jealousy. And instead of you finding your own way, you take the way from somebody else.
Wow. That actually, I can see that, and that makes sense, unfortunately. Yeah, not knowing how to love.
Exactly.
Wow, you put that so clearly. That was perfect. That's unfortunate that you were able to put that so perfectly, because it just goes to show how true it is.
I lost a lot of people along the way, but my aunt passed away in 2010, and I didn't think it could get worse than her, but she passed away from cancer. So it was like, okay, it was a build-up to her death, so I was able to process it. But my brother died instantly, and it was just like, that's my best friend.
Wow.
So life still isn't the same, and it's still emotional, but I have a baby girl now, and I have to live for her. So I can't be affected by it in a negative way. I try to more so celebrate him.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's awesome that you're able to do that. I want to ask, as far as in these hurdles that you've gone through and these challenges, it seems as if you've done some pretty hefty personal development or personal growth. What's your view on developing mentally and emotionally?
So my view is, don't be scared to outgrow people. Don't be scared to outgrow things, because the world is constantly changing and people change. I told you I used to have. I'm like a leech. I love hard, and when I love you, regardless of what you do, it's hard for me to let you go. But if you don't grow, you won't elevate. Sometimes people in your environment, they hinder you, and sometimes their idea of love is not what you need, and you'll continue to get hurt. But I just feel like sometimes you just got to walk away. And those relationships, if they're meant to be, they'll come back full circle. And just to give you more ideal on that, with my child's father, we went through a roller coaster. When I first met him, he was like the man of every woman's dreams. But things change. And instead of me taking him at face value, like this is who he is, I kept hunting for that person. I kept wishing that person would return. And at the time, it was degrading me more and more until I lost myself. I no longer knew who I was. I no longer knew what I wanted out of life. I was so busy trying to search for him, losing myself instead of walking away. And once I walked away wholeheartedly, I do think he's trying to get better, not as my man, but as a father of my child. Because honestly, he did spend time incarcerated as well. And I didn't know the effect that institutions really have on people. And now he didn't know either until now he's like more past it. And I had never dated anybody who did any jail time. So I didn't know like, hey, this guy is somebody else. He's programmed to be somebody else. And I'm trying to fight through these walls that I didn't build, but I'm hurting myself doing it. And I just became, a robot all over again. So just being able to grow, me being able to find how to love myself, me just talking myself through it kind of just gave me a lot of strength, because even while I was trying to find I knew that I was lost. I acknowledged that I was lost. That was the first foundation for me, just realizing, hey, you're in a terrible situation and you need to get out. You need to get back. And having a child, I was not going to expose my child to a lot of the stuff that I was even willing to put up with, to be honest.
How did you find out or realize, like earlier in the podcast, you were saying that you didn't know what real love was or something like that? At what point during that relationship did you have an aha moment where you're like, wait a minute, this is not correct. I need to get out of this. What happened?
To be honest, I knew the first sign that he did something, but for some reason, I always wondered, like, why did women stay with men they shouldn't be with? And then I became that woman. Like, why am I still here? But I had to learn how to love myself. When I was growing up, I didn't see what a healthy relationship looked like. I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know what I wanted. So when I received what I didn't want or didn't need, I wasn't able to walk away because it wasn't nurtured. I wasn't shown like, hey, if this happens, you need to take flight.
Yeah.
Don't fight, take flight. So I all the while I was in a relationship, even though I stopped complaining, that was the first thing I did, because I used to complain about all the things I want. You need to do this, you need to do that. We know how that goes. And it never happens. Y'all make up to break up. But I stopped complaining and I started focusing on myself. And when I started to focus on myself more and more, that's when I was able to make it out, because that person could no longer feed me. I was no longer fulfilled by anything that he did or anything that anyone else did. And to be honest, when I left him alone, I was able to leave other people alone, friendships, family, because it wasn't supportive of me. And when I was with him, I always had the mindset, hey, if I could stay with him, then I could forgive them, because why would I stay with some no good dude? And in my family, these are my family members. These are my lifelong friends. How can I put them? But when I was able to leave him alone, I was able to just drop all baggage.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yep.
That's powerful that you were able to, first of all, do that. And second of all, see it so clearly, because I think a lot of times people don't see, I know I didn't see it. I thought I stayed way too long in a very bad relationship because I just didn't know that it was bad.
I stayed too long and I knew. So I don't know which one is worse. I stayed, I stayed a couple years. That's like too much of my life for me.
Yeah.
To grow, to just be growing with somebody and not growing.
Yeah. I love that you're saying that you just stopped complaining, because I think that is such a key to moving past, spending so much time talking about what we don't want. Exactly. And then you took a step and you stopped doing that part and you started concentrating on things that you do want. That's like everything. That's everything.
Exactly. And if whatever he was lacking, if I knew that I needed or deserved it, I would do it for myself. I wasn't going to say, how come you didn't do this? Why did you do that? No, because when you complain, it just makes things worse. I just try to look for the good in everything. And if he wasn't around, that was a blessing to me. That was peace of mind to me, because I knew that if I left him, it would hurt. But I knew if I stayed with him, it would hurt forever. So I would rather go through a temporary pain and get to peace than to go through a pain forever and never even experience love, joy, or peace.
Yeah, definitely. And does your daughter get to see him?
Yeah, she sees him. You know, she's a girl. It's something about daddy's girls for real, because even when she went a while without seeing him, she's just so joyful to be around him. So that's why I said take time to find yourself, because when you continue to complain to a person and they don't make changes, they know they don't have to make changes, because all you're going to do is complain. You're not going to, they know they don't have to follow up, because they're taking you at face value, like, oh, she just tripping. And it's not mattering what they do, because they know you're going to continue to be with them, because you've shown them what you'll put up with time and time again. So when I was really at a point where it was like, I went through a huge phase of having his number blocked, not communicating with him. He would even email me. I'm like, no, you need to man up. My daughter will not. When it comes to children, they learn from their mother first. Women learn how to be treated by a man. Boys learn how to treat a woman through their mom. And I just always knew, like, I can't do this to my daughter. I wanted to break generational curses. That's always been a part of my identity. I have to start anew. So I had to cut him off for a while. And when I allow him back into my life or my daughter's life, if he's still on foolishness, I cut him off again. And until he could get it right, it's like, hey, I'm better off as a single parent with no help than two dysfunctional parents. And I know that for a fact.
Yeah, so powerful, so powerful. Definitely. I want to ask, one of the biggest issues, in and amongst the her version community and all of the females who are expanding, into this community of women right now, we're all going through something. We're all going through some sort of challenge, some sort of issue, some more so than others. And some of them are just now stepping into personal development.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to ask, with your personal experience, when you were kind of stepping out of the old Brittany and into the Brittany that you're now creating for yourself, what were like the first few steps that you personally took to get from darkness and walking towards the light?
The first step, in which I do believe is the most important step, is forgiving myself. I was less angry at the people that hurt me and more mad at myself for allowing myself to be hurt. So I had to figure out how to forgive myself. Another thing I did was reflect on the past, not the negative past, but the past that I loved me. Where did I feel like I had the most fulfillment in life? And I just tried to manifest that person, but a better person. So I even would listen to the music that I listened to in that era of time. So if it was 2009 that I liked myself, I listened to the music that I liked in 2009, just trying to recapture that feeling. I listened to motivational music in general, and I goal cast it every morning. At least 5 minutes listening to somebody. You can literally Google how to get over someone, how to let go. And I just used to manifest it and meditate. And I wrote out what type of woman I want to be, what things do I want to see in myself. And I still continue to read those things. I always go back, because the minute you forget you're on the growth path, you will fall back. So it's just constant, even in those happy moments, I just take a moment to give thanks. Thank you for getting me here, because it takes a lot of strength. I know it does, especially now. Now that I've dealt with someone, and mentally, physically, emotionally, all the types of abuse you can think of, it's like I have to be a constant reminder. Hey, you've exposed yourself. And now you have to remold yourself. So I just always try to do positive things. I got rid of all negative self-talk. I didn't say, oh, I can't do this. It's hard. No, it's going to happen. And I'm thankful in advance. And I always give thanks because, hey, I'm back and I'm better now. And I still have a lot of growth that has to take place, but at least I'm just more knowledgeable of it, just always being aware of it, not being aware to a point where it could depress you, but try to see yourself in a different realm, in a different circle, in a different atmosphere. What do you like? Find out what you like. If it's something simple as keeping my nails done, if I look down on my hands and they're ugly, I gotta go get my nails done. Your outer appearance matters. If it matters to you, then keep it up. Keeping a clean house. When your environment is dirty, your mind is dirty. Your mind is clouded. Your mind matches your environment. So it's so much easier for me to focus in a clean environment. I'm just always trying to take notes. I'm always going back and reading my notes because it's tough. It's tough. And then especially when you're dealing with tough people who don't necessarily understand, like, why is she sad about this? Why won't she just leave? Or why is she doing this? And then you got to go to work and put on a whole different face. So just being mindful is the best advice, and forgiving yourself, because we're only human. I always thought I was superhuman. You know, I came through from so much. I mean, I've been homeless before. I've been poor. I've been this. But in a relationship that I got in, that exposed me to my greatest weaknesses. And I'm thankful, because now when I do allow myself to embrace another man, if he's not the right one, I'm taking flight.
We're taking flight. Yes. I want you said something really interesting in the beginning of that, where you said you give thanks in advance.
Yes.
I think I know what that means, and I love it. But can you expand on that just a little bit for the audience?
Okay, sure. So I feel like the universe is for us, right? And I don't know if you believe in God or not, but there's a God in us as well. And when you begin to imagine a more fulfilled life, you just embrace it and give thanks. I literally say thank you. Thank you, because I know that it's coming. When you can feel something, when you can taste something, when you can just be able to visualize it, it's going to happen faster and better for you. So just being able to, and part of being able to give thanks, because some people don't know how to give thanks, you have to be grateful for whatever you have. You can't be pessimistic. You can't consider, oh, but I need this, you know, because I'm in a city. I don't have any family down here. It's just me and my daughter for the most part. But I'm grateful because I still know that it's people that have way less than me. And I know that I have so much opportunity. There's so many resources. I'm thankful for the resources to get better. I'm thankful for the opportunity. And I'm thankful because now I'm able to dream, you know. I can imagine the life that I want. So I'm giving thanks before it even happened, because it's gonna taste so good.
Yeah. And you know, everything that you're talking about, I want to emphasize, everything that we've gone over so far is free to us. In the library, like you said, on YouTube, the internet, all you have to do is just do a simple Google search and look for individuals who are talking about mindset, who are talking about personal development. And all of that is at our fingertips on our phone for free.
It is.
We can start moving towards, you know, a more healthy mindset, which is what you're talking about right now.
Exactly, because it all starts in the mind. And I tell this story a million times. Imagine if Harriet Tubman never thought about freedom, you know, because some people couldn't imagine being free. She was a slave. She didn't see free slaves, but she not only had the mindset to free herself, she had the mindset to free others. And you just have to believe enough in yourself, believe enough in the power of the universe that whatever you're asking for is going to come. Now, faith without works is dead. You have to work towards it. Like I said, you have to be mindful of it all the time. And you can never speak negativity over it. Always know it's coming. That's why sometimes when I deal with other women, you know, they say they leaving their dude. I'm never like, oh, you going back. 'Cause even though it's probably a good chance that they will. But every time they say they're done, I'm showing an equal amount of support, because I think that women go through so much. When they go back to a man, people start losing faith in them. Like, hey, she going back, instead of just being like, well, I hope it's true this time. I'm putting my faith in you. I'm not going to speak negativity on anyone else, and I'm not going to speak negativity on myself. All I can do is hope and pray and wish that everything you desire comes to you. Just like everything I hope and wish, I pray, and my desires come true.
Yeah, 100%. I want to ask, what is the number one lesson you've learned about life?
Don't know. I learned that no one owes me anything. Regardless of what I've given, physical, not love, you don't owe me. And a lot of times I was never the type of person to bring up, hey, but I did this. But a lot of times I wasn't getting the love. There was no reciprocation. I love reciprocity. Like what I give, I want to give back. It doesn't have to be in the same form, but I want you to be there for me how I'm there for you, because I am the person that I want others to be. But when they didn't show up for me, it angered me. It sent triggers to me. And that's why that's my most important lesson, because how you react to things determine the next what's going to come. So I had to have more patience with myself when dealing with those people. Hey, can you do this? It could be something, a light task, and if a person wouldn't do it, it's kind of upsetting. Like, you're not even doing anything. What are you talking about? I just did all this stuff for you. but I had to know, like, I'm here for me. I have to show up for myself regardless of anybody. I have to show up. And once again, I now have another life that I have to show up for. So just realizing life goes on. It's going to go on with it without you. And I want to be on a good spectrum. I want to feel the heaven on earth. I don't want to always be in pain or in sorrow. I like happiness. I love joy. So just once you realize no one owes you anything, don't look for apologies in people. Don't look for gifts in people. Don't look for love in people. If that stuff is not coming from within, the world is hard. The world is tough, and you'll end up becoming destroyed if you think that anybody owe you anything.
Yeah, that's so true. I think one of the biggest hurdles just in general that I've overcome over the last, decade or so is just that, because I've always considered myself such a nice person. And, sometimes we assume that people are going to be nice right back, and that's not a thing.
So what I've learned recently, there's a difference between nice and kind. Be a kind person, because nice people get walked on. Don't be nice. Those are the people that get taken advantage of. But be kind. It's okay to keep a kind heart. Regardless of what you go through, you can be kind to others. You can continually give to others, but you'll then know how to replenish yourself. If you're too nice, people take advantage of that, but know when to give, know when to say no, because a lot of times I would give, and give, but I realized I was enabling them anyways. I wasn't helping them out. I was giving them a shortcut, and they would still end up back. They was walking in circles, and when they came to my stop, I helped them walk in another full circle instead of doing a 180. It's a difference. 360, you back around where you came from. You want to end up somewhere else. And sometimes your helping is a hindrance. And that's another big lesson I learned. You can't hand out bricks while still building your house. I'm trying to get myself together so I can help people at the capacity that they actually need to be helped. Because when you grow up without something and you think you're longing for, you think, oh, if I would have had this, I would have been so much better off. But what you need or needed is not what somebody else needs or needed. And you can't save everybody. Everybody isn't your help. So sometimes I just try to become resourceful and be able to direct people elsewhere, because it's amazing how people will get mad at you when you can't give to them. And then they'll have you feeling bad, but you got to realize they got to hold their own selves accountable too. So you can only be accountable to you. That's why whatever I long for, whatever I desire, I try to give it to myself first.
So when you're saying be nice in conjunction, or don't be kind, not nice. And then in the same area of speaking here, you're talking about people doing a 360 because you're doing too much for them. Is that equivalent to nice? Like, is too nice meaning you're like enabling people?
Nice is when you always on go for somebody. You'll alter your plans just for that person. If they need, you're always giving them money. I'm sure everybody, I don't care rich or poor, you have people in your family that are always in need. Yeah. And those needs are always full circle. This year you need it, next year you'll need, the third. As long as you keep thinking I'm there for you, you'll always need. You're not helping people at all in that aspect, because you have the same 24 hours that I have. You have the same capabilities that I have. So if I'm not being more resourceful with you, if I'm not giving you the opportunity to do better, if I'm giving you fish and not teaching you how to fish, then I'm not helping you.
Wow, that's great. So be kind.
Yes, be kind. You don't have to walk around with heavy weights on your shoulder. You don't have to regret what you've done to people. You don't have to even stop doing for people, but do what's in your capacity. I stopped answering my phone a lot because people they're negative. They call and they always want to complain. Those complaints will eventually affect you. Somebody call you and talking about the hardships of their life, you eventually gonna start considering the hardships of yours. Like, dang, instead of staying positive, knowing that positive outcomes are on the brink, you're allowing more and more negativity to come in because you're listening to somebody else's negative outcomes when you're a waymaker.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that I want to bring up is limiting beliefs, because I feel as if a lot of females, just individuals in general, have these kind of like hidden secret belief systems within themselves that they grew up with, that society gave them, that their parents gave them, that their culture gave them, that, their environment gave them. And they hang on to these beliefs and they let these beliefs guide them through their lives. And a lot of times it's not beneficial for them to believe these things. So I'd like to talk for a moment about maybe a limiting belief that you had growing up and how you switched it, what you believe now.
So one of the biggest limited beliefs I believe I have or had is conflict is normal. I told you I grew up in a house with a lot of people. I've always seen dysfunctional relationships, but in the end, there was always peace, quote unquote. I'm using that word loosely because in my mind, it's okay to fight and argue. You'll come back from that. In my mind, that's normal. In my mind, you need that to even function. That's a part of functioning. But no, I don't. I no longer believe that. It hinders you when you're always arguing with somebody. It affects your mood. It affects your actions. I could have a jam-packed day. I could wake up ready for the world. We get into it, I'm down and sour. But to me, that's normal. I didn't realize how much of a hindrance it was until I became an adult. Like, no, check your attitude at the door. If you have an attitude, it's not my way to carry. Get rid of that. We don't have to argue. I know couples, they think arguing is just part of being a couple. No, disagreements are fine, but if we're constantly in fight mode, that's a problem. And sometimes, with my family, we would get into it, a couple hours, a couple days go by, we're back normal, but we never address the problem. So even when dealing with my relationship with my child's father, we never addressed the problems. It was like, okay, I'm complaining. We get into it, a couple hours, couple days later, we back on the love machine. But we never took care of the underlying sources of our anger, of our conflict. We just let it go. And it was never being addressed. So there was never going to be a solution.
Definitely. So conflict. Okay, so the limiting belief was that conflict is normal?
Yeah, dysfunctional. We was dysfunctional. We felt like arguing and fighting was a part of relationships.
So what do you believe now?
That communication is the best thing, and taking people for who they are and knowing what type of people you can deal with. You can be the nicest person in the world, but everybody isn't for you. You could be the kindest person in the world. You could be the meanest person in the world. But you have to know what your energy needs to thrive. And some people are energy leeches. They'll take it away from you. They'll take your kindness. They'll have you sitting and sobbing. But you have to know your cutoff. Hey, this is what I need. This is what I don't need. This is a deal breaker for me. Your energy is throwing me off. So I'm going to exit. I'm going to leave because I have to still grow. We're talking about development. That's everlasting.
Yeah.
You have to continue to grow. And sometimes people don't know that they're hindering you, but you have to know when people are hindering you, because everybody, it's not purposeful. Everybody doesn't hurt you intentionally, but they grew up with their ideal of love. You grew up with your ideal of love. And if you formed a different idea, people don't have to conform to that idea. They don't have to conform to your idea of love or kindness, but you don't have to take it either. Just like they don't have to take what you have to offer. You don't have to take theirs, but you must surround yourself with people who are complementary to the person that you are.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that, because that was a big realization for me. Going into personal development, I was like, yes, me, yes, me, yes, me. And then there's this all of a sudden turning point where you realize, wow, if it's yes, me, then it's also yes, them. And everybody has their right to live authentically on how they want to live, whether they're doing personal development or not. We can't control that. I think that's so brilliant that you're saying that. It's a really good reminder for us that, like, yes, we can. And then, yes, they can too.
Exactly. I really believe in the pursuit of happiness. And the definition I learned as a kid, as long as my happiness doesn't infringe upon yours, that's the pursuit of happiness. So as long as my joy isn't harming to you, as long as your joy isn't harming to me, even if we can't make ends meet, make our joy meet, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't make you unhappy. You shouldn't make me unhappy.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've had that conversation with a few exes before, as far as like, hey, we just don't work. It just doesn't work. Like, it doesn't mean I'm bad. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean anyone's bad. It just literally, we just don't work together. And I think that that's a good realization, because I think sometimes people are stuck in relationships where you don't want to be the bad guy and they're not necessarily the bad guy. So then it seems like, well, then it should work, but it doesn't always work that way.
It doesn't. And that's because we're just attached. When you become attached to people, it's hard to let go. And then you start confusing it with love or lust. You start confusing it with emotions, but really you just made this person a part of your daily programming. And you need to be willing to reprogram. And you'll understand, hey, that wasn't even love. Yeah. Because when you realize what love really is, they weren't giving it to you.
Yeah.
And if they gave you their idea of love and you didn't need it, you were settling, and you never have to settle.
Yeah, definitely. All this amazing, freaking inspiring things that you're dropping here for our audience. I just want to give a shout out real fast to the people that are watching live. We thank you so much for being here. We thank you so much for listening and supporting Brittany and the Her Version community here. Brittany, since we've got a large audience here hanging out, listening to you, your story, the things you've been through, your inspiring thoughts, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your business, a little bit about the poetry that you do, and kind of let us know what you're doing for the humans.
Yes, ma'am. So as stated, I am a poet. And honestly, I use my poetry to help me through. I wrote this book. It's called Pain Painter Poetry. It can be found on my website or Amazon or Barnes & Nobles. But the beginning of the poem, because a lot of people hear pain and they think pain, and you should. There's a lot of pain in the book. But in order for me to get over the pain that I felt, I had to discover it, uncover it, take it dead on. I couldn't keep running from it because I realized I was a runner. I ran away from my problems. But the more I ran away, the bigger my problems became. So in the beginning of the book, I explore pain on all different levels, from love to drugs to friendships, family members, just self-love, suicide, whatever you can think of. But in the end of the book, there's joy, there's peace. It tells you how I found that peace, how I found that happiness, and hopefully you'll be able to do the same. So right now, this book is just the biggest part of me. This is the first time I actually go back and read my poetry because it's strength. And like I said earlier, I am starting a swimwear line. It's not up yet, but for women who, just want to look sexy on the beach and don't want to go through all the altercations of their body. And if they did, you still need compression material, just because I'm a strong advocate for women who've been in domestic violence, women who've been in any type of situation. I'm really a strong advocate for people. I want people to reach their best selves. That's why I still educate. That's why I still work with GED students, because it's never too late. It's never too late to change your environment. It's never too late to change your career. It's never too late to change your inside self. As long as you have breath in your body, I just want to promote that peace and prosperity. So that's what the book is all about. If you ever visit the website, I post motivational videos for all people, not just women, but I am a woman first.
So your website is just for those watching live right now, her website is right above her head, thebreezykingshow.com. And how much is your book selling for?
It is $8.45.
That's a steal, girl.
It is.
That's a steal. That's awesome. Well, definitely encourage those of you that are watching to check out her website. Grab that book, check out some of the poetry. I actually watched a few of the videos. So inspiring on so many levels, and definitely a woman who speaks to the soul 100%. Yeah. I want to ask you, we're kind of wrapping up here. What does success mean to you?
Success is just putting in effort and working towards your goals. Because even if it don't turn out right, you learn. I think failure, we all know what failure is. It's not accomplishing, not completing. But success is just being mindful and putting in that effort, and just doing what it takes to get there. Because I am, or used to be, positive affirmations. So I used to be the author of unfinished projects. I start something and I don't complete it. That became unsuccessful to me. So I just finish what I start, even if it's not the best finish, because if you're obsessed with perfection, it's going to hinder you. Put it out there, get it out there, what you're trying to do. If you want to work with a certain somebody, if you want to produce something, you just got to do it. To me, Nike has the best logo. Just do it. Yeah. And that's success, just doing it, because everything takes time. You have to work towards something, especially if you're already in something and you're aspiring to get somewhere else. Just believing in yourself. That's success to me. Me believing in myself is success, because I look at so many people that don't believe in themselves and they say, oh, you're good at this, you're good at... No, you're good at something, I'm good at something. We all have innate gifts. Poetry just happened to be mine. Math just happened to be mine. But there are things you're good at that I'm not good at. However it may be, just do it. Whatever you set your heart on, just follow through with it, and you'll reap success.
Yeah, definitely. And that actually goes real nicely into the next question I want to ask, as far as speaking directly to our female listeners who are searching for their authentic selves and who they're supposed to be and what their passions are, and who are possibly struggling with, navigating how to figure that out or what that even looks like. Do you have any advice for them?
Yes. Constantly tell yourself you are more deserving of what you're asking for. Whatever you're trying to get, whatever you're asking for, you're worth way more. So just prepare to accept it. Sometimes I just look in the mirror and I say positive affirmations. Take the time out, take a bath, take a nice, warm, hot bath. Close your eyes and meditate. Like I said in the beginning, write down the woman that you want to be. Write down your strengths and rely on your strengths to carry you to the next level. Because when you have been affected by something so greatly that it alters your mind and alters your mobility, you changing the way that you act, and you have to do some reprogramming, and it does not happen overnight. So just telling yourself, always love on yourself. Tell your body how much you appreciate your body. Tell your mind, just be thankful that you know that you need to get to that point, because some people don't realize it at all. But as long as you know it's time for a change, be thankful and grateful that you even arrived at that moment, because that takes strength. That takes strength, and you have it. Whatever you need, you already have it. It's just waiting on you. So take baby steps. Don't force yourself to do something at a greater capacity than you have. You know your strengths. You know how much time you can put into something. If you can only put 5 or 10 minutes, if you can only put 1 minute, 30 seconds into loving yourself, add 30 seconds on to the next day or the next week, but always be working towards a better you. And you know, if you're a morning person, do it in the morning. If you're a night person, do it in the night, because at the end of the day, we have our own strengths, and our strengths are not timely to others. They're only timely to us. So figure out what's your time. Figure out what's your strength. How much time can you dedicate to your own self-love? Before you even figure out what self-love is, just be mindful of it. Take baths, whatever you like doing as a woman, go take a walk. I'm telling you, because it helps. And you might not even feel it at first. This is the biggest application of fake it till you make it. Don't be caught up in the sorrows. Just know that your ladder is so much greater.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And I love that you're giving advice on things that don't cost anything.
Yes, joy is free. Peace is free. And it comes from within. When you have internal joy and internal peace, your environment a war could be going on outside.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be affected by that, because it's coming. It's stimulation. You have to learn how to stimulate yourself. Whatever you're asking for, you can't get it from a man. You can't get it from a family member, because people are disappointing.
Yeah.
But you give it to yourself first.
Yeah.
You give yourself that peace of mind, and I promise you, life will flourish.
Definitely. And learning to lean on yourself versus trying to lean on other people, is one of the greatest powers you can give. One of the biggest things that I hear a lot, within the female community, not necessarily in the her version community, but within the female community, is just the lack of money and feeling as if they can't get personal development. They can't get the coaching. They can't, get their nails done. They can't go for a massage. They can't go tanning or whatever it is to do that self-love stuff. So I appreciate that pretty much during this entire podcast, you gave so many beautiful examples of things that people can literally start doing right now.
Yes, because when you start getting everything else right, you'll learn avenues of money. So I used to be really impatient, and I knew that I had to learn patience. I'm not all the way where I need to be, but I looked at where I was most impatient, right? I was most impatient in the car. People do a lot of crazy things on the road, and it's like, why are you doing that? I'm hitting my horn, I'm yelling, but these people, it's not going to change the situation. So I don't know if you guys know the Serenity prayer, accept what you can't change, what you can. Basically, I stopped blowing my horn at people. It's not going to do anything. They're not going to, the action is already performed. So a lot of times we just don't have patience with ourselves, and go to find patience, because all physical things, they come and go. Money comes and goes. Money is nobody's answer. You may need money to survive, and money may get you more things that you desire. You want to travel, but millionaires and billionaires commit suicide. So it's not about money. If you don't have that internal joy, you have to find that from within. That way, when you hear no, you go look for one door closes, you go open another door. You climb through a window. You find alternatives, because when you start thinking money is your answer, or something tangible is your answer, you start to fail. And you start focusing on the negative instead of saying, hey, this may not have worked, but something else will. So find that within. When money is needed, you'll get it, because you start responding to the universe differently, because it wants to see you win. I know some of you may have heard of beginner's luck. You know, when you first play a card game, you get all the good cards. That's the universe rooting for you. And it's always rooting for you until you start rooting against yourself. So just watch your energy all the time. Respond to things positively. Don't look for the negative and stuff. Look for the positive and be grateful in that and give thanks to that and move from that. When you don't do things out of negativity, you want a better life, don't do it because somebody didn't believe in you. Do it because you believe in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. You're getting me all emotional here, girl. So good. We have a few comments. Brilliant. I love this conversation. Motivation, inspirational, great show. Go Breeze. Yes, it's never too late to start fresh. Believe it as if it's already happened. Brittany, you are so full of impact. Congratulations on your published book. Lots of hearts, lots of good stuff. I so appreciate you being here. I so appreciate the time that you took out of your day, despite everything that you're going through.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course, if I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have guessed for sure, because your passion, your inspiration, your words, the way that you speak is absolutely brilliant. You didn't skip a beat. So I'm so glad that you took the time, despite, to hang out with us and to shine your light on us tonight. Before we close up, do you have any closing thoughts? This has been great.
Just thank you, everybody, again. Like one of the comments said, like I said, it's never too late. Sometimes people are scared to switch careers. Sometimes people are scared to leave people alone. But if it's tugging at you, it's for you. So even if it doesn't always seem right in the beginning, just keep working towards your goals and they'll flourish. You're awesome. Humans are awesome. We're the most dominant creatures on earth. We dominate and we figure out ways to dominate. So you just got to figure out, put yourself first and just give it your all.
Yep. 100%. What a great way to close. Listen, for those of you that are watching live still and hanging on through the hour, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the comments. We always appreciate individuals who are sharing their love verbally to us, so that we know that you're here and we know that you are listening and supporting myself, the Her Version community, and the guest, Brittany King, today. For those of you that are watching on the replay and catching this at a later time, make sure that you hashtag replay where you are at, so that we know that you are here and so that we know what platform you are listening to us on. We stream live across three Facebook platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. If you're looking for links, make sure you message me. For those of you that want to catch Brittany, make sure you check out her website. Is your social media on there?
Yes, I believe my Instagram. Right now I'm working on the Facebook and everything, but my Instagram is the same as my website, The Brittany King Show.
Perfect. So Instagram and her website to catch more on Brittany and her book that she's practically giving away. Make sure that you check that out and support her, and keep her here. Keep her here. Keep her valid in the world, because obviously the things that she has to say, the motivation that she is speaking, the inspiration that she has given to us just in this hour, we can tell has been so beneficial. So thank you so much for joining us here on Her Version. This community is always expanding, and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they were yesterday. Thank you so much, Brittany. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at Her Version Life, which is the host of this podcast. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I am so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. Until next time, much love.
Bye, guys. Thank you all.